La Llorona, known as the Weeping or Wailing Woman, was likely born in the 1650s. We know this because she appears to be in her 20s when she is married with children in 1673. La Llorona was alive so long ago that the best known record of her mostly comes from the folklore surrounding her. While the stories vary depending on the source, a few constants overlap. When La Llorona was young, she had a different name. In some retellings, it's Maria, but in a well-known play written in 1917, it's Luisa. In many iterations of the story, she was born into poverty, but as she grew up, she became incredibly beautiful. So much so that she drew the attention of a wealthy ranchero. He married her and they had 2 boys. Unfortunately, these children would not live for very long. As she gave them life, she also took it away, thus beginning the curse of La Llorona. To find out what drove this young mother to commit this act, how she became known as the Weeping Woman, and how her curse endangered generations of children, stick around to the end of this video. This video is sponsored by Audible. Welcome to Horror History. In today's lesson, I'll be covering the life and afterlife of one of Mexico and Central America's most iconic legends, La Llorona. There's not a lot documented about the childhood of La Llorona, but one thing that is consistent across the various legends is that she grew up in poverty. So when a wealthy conquistador came to her town and pursued her, it makes sense that this would be a very big deal to her. According to History Today, there was initially a shortage of Spanish women in what the Spanish dubbed as New Spain, the region now referred to as Spring Break. This meant that unions between indigenous women and Spanish men were quite common. However, many of these unions didn't last very long. To get a better understanding, we'll need to take it back to Mexico and parts of Central America during the 1600s, where this iteration of the legend originates. The fates of indigenous and mestiza women who married Spaniards were mixed. Some enjoyed stability and enhanced status, but more often than not, they were cast aside a few years later for younger women, or more often, a Spanish wife. More alarmingly, their children were sometimes taken away, a practice that derived from the Spanish tradition of relieving the so-called wayward women of their children. This left many women during this time to feel completely helpless. La Llorona is kind of an embodiment of the collective pain and anger of women from this time that got turned into legend. It's something that's come up a lot in horror history, from Godzilla being a metaphor for nuclear fallout to the Demogorgon being a manifestation of fears of communism. I think we need a term for this, so I'll call it cultural legendizing.